Prosecutors representing two parties face off for the first time, hoping to win your vote for Attorney General.
I've defined myself as a prosecutor, as an independent person who's going to put the interests of the people first.
I've always wanted to focus on my qualifications and what we want to do in that office. And most importantly, the Attorney General is there to protect the most vulnerable.
Plus a new poll showing Ducey and Duval in a dead heat.
It needs to be solved by both parties. Both parties have got to step up. I believe this is a very difficult issue. It's a very tough issue. There's enough blame to go around on both sides.
Tonight on Politics Unplugged, what you didn't hear during the debate.
And good evening, I'm Carrie Pena.
And I'm political editor Dennis Welch, and this is Politics Unplugged.
Arizona's top cop up for grabs this November after Tom Horn lost his fight in the primary.
And for the first time since then, the two candidates vying for that job are here tonight, and we welcome Felicia Rodolini and Mark Brnovich.
So let's talk first about immigration. Mr. Brnovich, you oppose a pathway to citizenship. Ms. Rodolini, you support it. So what is the answer to illegal immigration, and what, if elected, would you do as Attorney General to fix it? First to you, Ms. Rodolini.
Well, we need to be on top of the border issue, and it's a priority for me. I think the Attorney General has to focus on the criminals at the border. I believe that the Senators Flake and McCain's program and their ideas about how to solve the immigration issue is the right way to go. And if we solve the immigration problem with reform, Arizona is going to benefit. My job as a top law enforcement officer is to work with all levels of law enforcement, go after the drug cartels, break the financial backbone of these people, and make sure that we are protecting and serving the people within our borders. That's the job of the Attorney General.
Mr. Brnovich?
Yes, I am the only candidate running that's actually worked with federal, state, and local law enforcement to prosecute the baddest of the bad. And we need to have an approach when it comes to immigration of securing the border first. I think one of the things that's so troubling to most Arizonans is just recently President Obama, within the last week, has basically said that he's going to unilaterally change our immigration laws by allowing the federal government, by allowing him to basically grant amnesties to millions and millions of people in this country illegally. I think that's wrong. I think we need to do everything we can to enforce the rule of law and to make sure that we do everything we can to keep our borders secure, but also keep our communities safe. This isn't just a problem about the border. This is a problem for all Arizonans, and it ultimately is a problem that the Attorney General needs to face with every tool in their toolbox. And that means going after the cartels that are smuggling drugs and people into this country, to make sure we are enforcing the rule of law, to make sure we are doing everything we can to protect and keep our community safe.
But speaking of those cartels, both of you have promised to fight the cartels, but what is your strategy to accomplish that? And we'll keep with you, Mr. Brnovich.
I'm sorry, Dennis, my earpiece fell. What did you say?
We're talking about your strategy to fight the cartels. You brought that up in your last answer, which isn't wanted specifics from you about how do you plan to accomplish this goal.
I think we need to make sure we're using every tool in our toolbox. One of the first things I'm going to do when I'm elected Attorney General is bring together the federal, state, and local law enforcement officials, work together with folks like County Attorney Bill Montgomery, work together with the sheriffs throughout this state to make sure we are all on the same page, that we are going after and targeting the leadership of the cartels, essentially going after and cutting off the head of the stake. Additionally, I think we need to make sure we're doing everything we can to go after those that are involved in financing and profiting from human smuggling and from drug smuggling. And so using those approaches. And I think the third and maybe most important thing, and this is one of the differences between my opponent and myself, is if President Obama does indeed try to grant amnesty and unilaterally change our immigration laws, I think we as a state need to condemn that and use every tool we have in our toolbox, including litigation, to stop the president from granting amnesty to millions of people in this country illegally.
Ms. Rodolini, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Brnovich knows his response was not true. I was the first one to go after Western Union and to make sure that they did not facilitate the smuggling of humans into the state of Arizona. When I was the head of the Department of Financial Institutions, I oversaw money transmitters, and that included going after all of the money transmitters that were working with or facilitating the funds coming into Arizona to pay for the smuggled human beings. So I have worked with the federal government at every level, And the job of the Attorney General is to focus on what's going on in Arizona. I know Mr. Brnovich would like to be running against President Obama, but he's not. He's running against me and my record of being in the trenches for 17 years, fighting for Arizona families, protecting them in both the criminal and the civil divisions of the Attorney General's office. That's what we need to do, is focus on law enforcement, absolutely focus on the sheriffs, and make sure that they are working with the Attorney General to crack down on the drug cartels and hit them where it hurts the most.
And Mrs. Rodolini, your opponent brought up the idea of the president issuing an executive order when it comes to illegal immigration, protecting maybe millions of illegals that are here from deportation. Where do you stand on this issue? Does the president, should he go it alone on this issue?
I believe that the president should get the legislation through our Congress. We need a comprehensive immigration program.
That's not answering the question. Do you believe he should be issuing an executive order?
No, I don't think he should be issuing an executive order at all. I think that he should work across the aisle, and our delegation in Arizona and all of the Congress and senators should work towards comprehensive immigration reform and get the job done. Now, I am not in support of a special path to citizenship. Absolutely not. What we need to do, and this is what's best for public safety, is get these folks out of the shadows, get them IDs, make sure that they have criminal background checks, make sure that they're paying taxes, and then make sure that they, like everyone else, has to go through the same citizenship programs as anyone else.
Mr. Brnovich, let's bring you into this. She's saying we need to bring them out of the shadows. What's your response to that?
You know, I think one of the most important things we can do when discussing the immigration issue is not demagogue it and be straight with the voters. Frankly, border security is a national security issue. I'm a product of immigration. My mother immigrated to this country years and years ago after living through the horrors of World War II and also communism. So I have a special place in my heart for immigrants to this country that want to make a better life for themselves. But that being said, we are a nation of laws, and we believe very strongly in the rule of law. And until we secure the border, we cannot move forward with any sort of reforms or changes to immigration policy. And so that's why I'm asking Felicia to join me today in condemning President Barack Obama's plan. She can talk all she wants about that this should be done this way or legislative or whatever. But the simple question, Carrie, you and Dennis asked was, will she oppose President Obama? Will she be willing to go to court and try to stop President Obama from unilaterally changing our immigration laws? Will she condemn President Obama in his attempt to grant amnesty to millions of people in this country illegally? Frankly, I think what President Obama is doing is actually setting the case back for immigration reform. And all these cute little tricks that politicians do where they don't answer questions or they say they're going to wait till after elections, I think that's why people are so frustrated with politics today.
Ms. Rodolini, do you want to respond?
Absolutely. I don't disagree with Mr. Brnovich on the fact that we need to not allow the president to do this. I agree with him. The president's plan to go ahead and unilaterally provide this kind of system is not appropriate. It's
not a system. I mean, he's saying that he's going to grant amnesty.
Well, I'm telling you that, first off, it's not about condemning someone. It's about the rule of law, as you said, Mr. Brnovich. And what I'm telling you is that I agree with you. I agree that President Obama should not allow amnesty, and I'm not sure that you're using the right word here. But once again, let's talk about how immigration and how the problems in Arizona that are caused by not having immigration reform need to be addressed by our law enforcement community. I'm here to tell you that I agree with Mr. Brnovich that the executive order that the president is contemplating is not the right route, and that we need to work together with our Congress and our senators across party lines. You see, Mr. Brnovich is talking about partisanship and people being frustrated. I think the biggest frustration is that nobody is working together to really solve the problems we have. That's why I'm running for Attorney General. For the last 17 years, I was in the trenches working across party lines to solve problems. We need to get away from this partisanship. We need to get away from the bickering going on in D.C., and we need to solve the problem of immigration.
Mr. Brnovich, we'll let you respond to that.
Well, Obviously, the job of the Attorney General is to enforce the law, and Ms. Rodolini is talking a lot about policy and politics and partisanship, and frankly, I think that has no place in this race. What President Obama is doing is not an issue of right and left. Frankly, it's an issue of right and wrong, and I think we need to get back to enforcing the law. And until we secure our border, I mean, there are threats facing this country. There are folks that are bringing people into this country illegally, polluting our neighborhoods, undermining our quality of life. There are folks that pose a threat, a national security threat, when we have an open and porous border. So I think we need to make sure we're doing everything we can to stop President Obama and those that want to basically grant amnesty, because eventually you undermine the law by rewarding people that have broken the law.
Well, and frankly, the terrorism threats have put the immigration issue, at least federally, on hold for right now. Mr. Obama has put the executive action on hold. We have much more to talk about with the candidates for Attorney General when Politics Unplugged continues.